Hello. Now, while Extinction Rebellion are saying they care about the environment and shutting down central London, I was reading this. This is a story about people who have really been doing something about the environment. It's not like banging a drum outside the stock exchange, is it? It's a little more, it requires a little more concentration than that. This is what the valley looked like in the year 2000. This is what it looked like in the year 2006. And this is what it looked like by 2012. It looks even better in 2019, by the way. And this is the story. Nearly 30 years ago, Brazilian photojournalist Sebastião Ribeiro Salgado, I'll get his name right sooner or later, returned from East Africa, where he was on location documenting the horrors of the Rwandan genocide. Following this traumatizing project, Salgado was to take over his family's sprawling cattle ranch in Minas Gerais, a region he remembered as a lush and lively rainforest. Unfortunately, the area had undergone a drastic transformation. Only about 5% was covered in trees, and all of the wildlife had disappeared. It doesn't say what caused this. Perhaps irresponsible logging, perhaps a few bad seasons, it is drought prone there, perhaps overgrazing. It could have been mining as well. There's been a lot of poisonous mining detritus dumped into the Rio Doce over the years, which they're still trying to clean up, by the way. Whatever. It could have been natural or it could have been man. But as we will see, what man messes up, man can set right. And not by banging drums outside financial institutions and shops. Anyway, back to the article. Salgado's wife, Lelia, had an idea. They should replant the forest. To do that, the couple set up the Instituto Terra, an environmental organization dedicated to the sustainable development of the River Doce. You see, those people actually did some work. They didn't demonstrate, they didn't glue themselves to anything except to the task in hand. They didn't stand in the way of handicapped people trying to cross the road. They just rolled up their sleeves and got down and dirty. They put an organisation together and they started repairing the land. That was in 1998. Over the next several years, the Salgados and the Instituto Terra team slowly but surely rebuilt the 1,754-acre forest, transforming it from a barren plot of land to a tropical paradise. Now it's called a private natural heritage reserve, and it has hundreds of species of flora and fauna. It says here that in addition to the 293 species of trees, the land now teems with 172 species of birds, 33 species of mammals, and 15 species of amphibians and reptiles, many of which are endangered. Of course, this has also had an impact on the ecosystem and climate. Because when you afforest a large area, you actually encourage rainfall. On top of reintroducing plants and animals to the area, the project has rejuvenated several once dried up springs in the drought-prone area and has even positively affected local temperatures. Yeah, that's what does happen. Ultimately, and perhaps most unexpectedly, this major feat has saved more than the local landscape. All the insects and birds and fish returned, and thanks to the increase of the trees, I too was reborn. Well, I'm glad you were, Mr. Salgado, but I have to confess, on behalf of the world, I'm happier about the trees than your mental welfare, although the two are probably intimately connected. And here are some pictures that say it all. This is what it was like in 2001, and this is what it's like in 2019. Just look at that. That's what real activism looks like. That is what people should be doing, not making speeches in the UN, which, by the way, should be using its international resources to clear up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which covers about 1.5 million square kilometres, just by the way. And some of that plastic, which includes, I think, baby bottles, cigarette lighters, plastic bags and toothbrushes, some of that plastic is over 50 years old. That's how non-biodegradable plastic is. Surely, in 50 years, there was enough time for the UN to get its forces out there with the right machinery. And apparently it's also multiplying 10 times in every 10 years. That's what all those people blocking the roads in London should be out there doing something useful about. That's what those lazy, overpaid sods in the UN should be working out plans for, not applauding Greta Thunberg as she harangues them, telling them, we're all going to die in 5 minutes. The Salgados didn't chain themselves to the gateposts of their ranch and scream that we're all going to die. They said, we're going to make it so that we and everything else here are going to live. Oh, actually, there's something in the Bible about that, isn't there? I give you the choice between life and death. Therefore, choose life. Remember that? Thunberg was choosing death. These guys were choosing life. And look at this. It looks to me like these people here are locals who are being employed by the Instituto Terra to take care of the land. So it isn't only the forest and the wildlife who are benefiting. There are people there now who have jobs who would otherwise not be employed. Actually, if the land was dead, they'd have to be moving to the cities to find work, wouldn't they? Again, Thunberg is talking about returning to the land, deindustrialization, the sort of deindustrialization, by the way, that makes a mint for the adults around her who are big in the renewables industries. While the Salgados are actually doing something to kickstart the rural economy and stop peasants from drifting away into the barrios. Good for their land and good for their lives too. Now it's home to all kinds of plants and animals, it says here. Here are some pictures. Isn't that beautiful? This is what real ecological activism is, and it has nothing to do with CO2. All the plants in that valley are only too glad for the CO2. What's going on here is not protests, it's not disruption, If you happen to be a Greta Thunberg fan, by the way, and you feel strongly about saving the environment, go out, live in the country and do something constructive. Get a boat. Go out and chip away at the Pacific trash vortex, since nobody else seems to be bothering. Actually, there is an organisation. It could do with some help. Go and look it up on the internet and find out. Go and volunteer in replanting trees somewhere. You may not get much of a chance to do any dancing in between your Starbucks coffee breaks, but the Salgados were probably up at 6 a.m. every day, working their patch. And they are the people you should be applauding and following their example, not destroying the lives of the people in our towns. If you do more of this, more of the people in our towns would be earning their livings in the country. If you want to donate or contact, the information will be rolling over the Graniopteryx as I speak. Please like, subscribe and share because it does help with the algorithm. If you visit my channel on YouTube and one day discover that I've disappeared without warning, you'll still find me on BitChute or Minds. Just go to either of those platforms and do a search for Graniopteryx. If you're already watching this on BitChute or Minds, good for you. Meanwhile, if you're watching this on YouTube, remember that you must keep checking the subscribe and bell icons because occasionally they reset. Till next time.